I believe that there are certain times in our lives where we'll be called to go to the next level. And with that comes a lot of requirements and a lot of things that we have to do on our part. We're going to be talking all about it on today's show. You're listening to episode 18 of
The Gold Mine Podcast.
As women, we have to invest that time in getting to understand who we are.
Be ambitious, be bold, create the life of your dreams. This is the Gold Mine Podcast with your host, Adrian Dion.
Hey you guys, happy Tuesday. I hope that everyone is having an awesome day today. I'm excited to be back with you. Oh my gosh, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you guys. The last episode, we were wrapping it up with the finance series. And I told you guys that I ended with a fast. And so I had so many ideas and so many thoughts and things that I wanted, that I want to share with you guys. And so it's been like, oh my gosh, I'm just ready to get back so I can kind of get this stuff off my chest. But I hope that you guys are having a beautiful month so far. The last time we talked was July. And so now we're 7 days into August. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm planning a wedding now, but I just feel like, dude, these months are flying by. And where I thought that I had an advantage because I was going to give myself more than a year to plan, it's just like, dude, we're literally almost to 2019. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a beautiful month so far. Thank you guys for each week listening to me. I know I've kind of been off the grid for those of you who follow me on social media, but I'll explain more of that in this episode actually. But thank you for listening, even without me advertising or saying, hey, go listen. The numbers have stayed steady and have actually increased as well. So thank you guys for listening and sharing about the news about the podcast and everything like that. I hope you guys enjoy the finance series. I actually also have another episode coming out. Finally got a chance to talk to my friend who helps with the home buying process. So that episode, I'm thinking about just doing it as a bonus episode, maybe later on this week, but I will let you know. I'll definitely send it to you guys in the email, in my email. Which brings me to the point of, if you're not on the email list, make sure you do so. All of that will be in the show notes so that you get that pertinent information, those bonus episodes and content that I'm sending out every week. All right, guys, let's jump into the show. So a lot of the finance series, we talked about a lot of the things that we're wanting in our lives. Money is not a bad thing. It helps us to be able to get the things that we want in life, to be able to make our dreams come true, helps us to be able to follow our passions and to help a lot of people, add value to the world. And so in that series, if you follow the prompts and kind of followed along with, figuring out what it is that you wanted to do, how much money you needed, you were able to see a lot of the things that you wanted. It brought up some of the things that you wanted and kind of where you need to be, what you need to do, how much you need to be making. And I know for me, it brought a lot of different emotions. I have been really praying for a breakthrough in my finances as I taught that series. And at the very end of that series, I experienced cognitive dissonance. And so for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a mental discomfort experienced by a person who simultaneously holds two or more contradictory beliefs. So basically, there was inconsistency in my beliefs and in my thoughts. And whenever there's inconsistency with our brain, what it does is it creates actual physical tension and discomfort that you can literally feel physically. And so anytime we feel bad, our brain is looking for a way to make us feel better. And so what it does is it alters one of the attitudes or the beliefs that we have in order to reduce the discomfort that we're feeling. And we do this all the time. We see it all the time. And actually, it's a good reason or a good explanation of why people engage in horrible behaviors, even when they know that it's not good for them. So, for example, someone who smokes. I work with people who, well, not anymore, but well, I guess you can say so. In the kid world, there's a parent who knows that smoking is bad, and that, their kid has asthma, and that, the smoke exposure could cause harm to them, but they like to smoke. They want to smoke anyway. And so there are two conflicting beliefs. On the one hand, they know that smoking is bad, and that it could cause harm to their child. But the other belief is that, I need to smoke because it helps me with my anxiety and my nerves. And so what the brain does, it alters one of those beliefs. It says, yes, smoking is bad and it is harmful for your child, but as long as you're not smoking directly in their face, then it won't harm them. And so we come in and we see families, and you ask them questions about, the child is here, they've had a asthma flare up, and we say, well, does anyone in the house smoke? And they'll say no, and you can smell the smoke on them. And it's like, well, I smell the smoke, so what's going on? Well, yeah, I smoke, but I don't smoke in the house, I don't smoke around my child, but we know that the smoke is on them and it's in their clothes, and so that child is still getting exposed to that. So it's what their brain does to make things okay. And it's the same way about our dreams and about the goals that we have, that we're trying to accomplish. If you are not careful at managing your mind and managing those beliefs that you have, when you are experiencing two inconsistent beliefs, two beliefs that are contradictory, your brain may alter one of those beliefs so that it lessens the discomfort that you are experiencing. And if you deaden that, if it's not for your good, it could cause you reaching your goals. And so when I started to feel this, I'm feeling the two conflicting beliefs. On the one hand, I know what it's taking. I know that this is a lot of amount of money that I need in order for me to accomplish my dreams and my goals. And on the one hand, I'm feeling, I know that it's possible. But on the other hand, with me looking at my past and me wanting it so bad, which is not enough to just want it, I'm saying in my head, well, I don't know how to make it happen. I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. And so those two conflicting beliefs was causing a lot of discomfort for me. And so that is what prompted me to do a fast. Fasting is something that I do to kind of get clarity. It kind of cuts out all of the distractions. It cuts out me thinking about what I'm going to eat next. It empties my spirit, and so that I'm able to hear and acknowledge a lot of things that God is saying to me. And in that fast, I just kept hearing the word focus. Focus and new season. Focus and new season. The scriptures that I was reading was centered around focus and new seasons. The sermons that I listened to, the songs that I listened to. This song by her, I don't know if that's how you say it, Focus. Oh my gosh, that song continued to play in my head. I'm like, this isn't even a gospel song, but it was something captivating about that song. Everything around me was just about focusing and new season. Even Sunday when I went to church, the Pastor Miles started a new series about managing your mind, and in that he talked about focusing on the moment, on each moment, and managing each moment, which I got so many great ideas about that I'm going to probably share later on this month. But everything around it was talking about focusing and new season. And so that is what I want to share with you today. In order to get to the new level, in order to get to reach those goals that we're wanting to get to in our lives, is going to require certain things. It's going to predominantly require a lot of focus. This is a new season, and that is one of the things that you must understand before any of this. I've heard that scripture in Ecclesiastes 3 so many times where it says there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot. And for some reason, when I heard it this time, it just clicked that there is a certain time for everything. And in this season right now, it's a season to plant. This is a time that you are needing to plant seeds. Today, you're eating the fruits of yesterday's focus. You are experiencing the result of all the efforts you put in the past few years. Think about that. Your today is determined by your yesterday's actions. And this repeated over and over will, in the end, determine your forever destiny. What happens to you in your 30s and your 40s is a result of what you did in your 20s. If you didn't go to college in your 20s, if you didn't, put down roots for a career in your 30s and 40s, you're going to be all over the place. You're going to be trying to figure out that career. You're going to be worried about, your retirement fund because you haven't started that already. What you do today will in turn determine your tomorrow and your next 2 years and your next 5 years. So the time is now to plant. It's your planting time. So you don't have time to do nothing. You don't have time to buffer and to be confused and to try to figure out, well, what am I supposed to do? It's time for you to be planting right now. And so in order to see those goals and those dreams come to pass, you have to do something now. And that now thing is to get focused. If you experience that cognitive dissonance like I did when you come to think about your goals and your dreams, then your brain is going to alter one of those beliefs. Now, depending on which one that is, depends on the results you get in the future. And so if you don't make a conscious effort to assist your brain in altering one of those beliefs, then most likely it's going to go the negative way. It's going to go towards what you've always done, because that's just how our brain works. It likes to be in that comfort zone, and so it's going to go back to what you've already done. And unless you are where you're wanting to be, which is most unlikely, because then it wouldn't be a goal of yours, you're going to just repeat the same thing that you've been doing all along. And so in order to help and assist your brain to alter in a way that's going to serve you best, you have to get focused. You have to get laser-like focus about your dreams and about your goals. Every single thing that you do on a day-to-day basis must be working towards your goal. It must be feeding your goal in some way, fashion, or form. If it's not, then it needs to be cut out. You have to identify and cut out all distractions that's not feeding your goals. So for example, a lot of people say that, they say that when I'm in the flow of trying to reach my goals and my dreams, then I have to cut, all the hanging out. That's a distraction for me. And for some of you, it may not be a distraction. You may be able to work on everything that you need to do and schedule in time to hang out with friends. That might be your relief. That might be, something that gives you a little bit of pleasure along the way that helps you to continue on for a long period of time. That may be the case, but you have to decide on the things that's distracting you, which brings me back to my point of why I've been laying low a little bit on my social media. I had to take time to get focused and to pay attention and say, I wanted to have a full-time business. I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. But right now, what I'm doing is figuring out what to post on a day-to-day basis. And that's another thing. If you're trying to grow a business, it doesn't matter how many followers you have if you're not converting those people. It doesn't matter how many posts you're putting up if your posts aren't bringing people to your business, then it's a waste of time, and you need to see that. You need to see that if you're wasting a lot of time, trying to take pictures to post on Instagram so your Instagram can be popping, that's a waste of time. You need to see that if you're scrolling and looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to copy that, then, that's a distraction for you. And let me just say that too. When you're trying to do things, your journey is not going to be exactly like somebody else's. And if you have that comparison, problem that you compare yourself to everybody else, then maybe you need to take everybody else out of the picture so that you can create things that are authentic, so that you cannot be distracted by what everybody else is doing and feeling like, I need to do more, or I need to do this. You need to cut everybody else out. You need to cut other people out of the equation. Also, you may have a goal of, losing weight, and right now, as much as you hear people say, when I was on my weight loss journey, I would see all these fitness gurus, like they would be eating chicken wings and all this other unhealthy stuff. And I'm thinking like, oh, well, they can do it, I can do it too. That's not the case. You don't know how far along their journey is for them. And then you may not be at the place where you can have a cheat meal, because that just kind of follows this rabbit hole of you eating it one day and then the next day you eating it again. You have to identify the distractions that are causing you not to reach your goals, and you need to cut them out until you get stronger to where you can go out and hang out with friends, and that doesn't, stop you from doing what you need to do for your business or for your goals or for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. I'm sure many of you have heard that whole thing of elevation comes with separation. And so you have to separate yourself. You have to not necessarily separate yourselves from people, but separate yourselves from the distractions that are causing you to not be able to accomplish your dreams and your goals. The next thing that you need to do, and when I say the next thing, this is in no specific order, but my next point is, you need to believe without condition. You need to believe in your dream, and that is the results that you're aiming to create without condition. And what I mean by that is, so many times we have a business idea, or we have something that we're trying to accomplish, and we think we know the how of doing it. So we get fixated on that how. And when that how fails, we lose our hope, and many people give up. But in order to be successful, you must remove your belief from the how and put it on that ultimate dream and result, and believe that it will manifest no matter what, without any conditions. Now, I know you may be saying, "Now that sounds hard to do," but it's not. You already believe in things, a lot of things like that. For example, God. You believe in God, a lot of you, without any conditions. There's nothing somebody can come and tell you about God doesn't exist. You believe that without condition. You believe that if you go to your job and you clock in and out, you're going to get paid on a Tuesday. Like, you believe that. There is nothing that anybody can tell you about your job. You believe it without any conditions. So you have to do the same thing about your dream. When you're on that journey of reaching your goals and you hit a stumbling block, you say, that's okay. That didn't work. I'll try something else. You're not fixated on that how. You just go a different route, because you aren't caught up in how or when it will happen. You just know that it will. And so you don't stop until you achieve that dream and that goal. That's a decision that you have to make. And you have to practice it on a daily basis. You have to get up and you have to say, this is my plan. But if that doesn't work, I'm not worried about it. That just means there's a different way I'll achieve it. And you have to make that conscious decision that without any second thoughts about giving up, you're going to reach that goal. Another thing you need to do in order to get to that next level is to operate from the place you're trying to get instead of the place where you are right now. You have to change things up. You can't continue to do things like you've always done them. You have to act as if you're already there. If your goal is to become a full-time entrepreneur, if you want to have a business, then on your off days when you're not working at your other job, you don't sleep in to 10 o'clock. Somebody that's a full-time entrepreneur, they don't sleep in till 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and they don't, go and shop half of the day spending money that they don't have. They don't do that. And so you need to operate like you're already a full-time entrepreneur. I get up on my off days at 6 o'clock and I hit the gym first, and then I come back and I already have the night before schedule out what I'm going to work on for that day. And I do that. I follow my schedule. I manage my time well because I'm acting as if I'm already a full-time entrepreneur. Full-time entrepreneurs determine how much money they make. Their money just doesn't come in, so there's something that they have to do. They can't rely on, I'm just going to get paid every 2 weeks. No, if they don't work, they don't get paid. And so I have to operate in that same way. If you are somebody who is 300 pounds now, but you're working to get to 150 and have a very nice shape, people who are already there, they don't miss their workouts. They meal prep. How you have to look and think as if you're already there and move and operate in that way. If your goal is to become debt free, people who are debt free want to stay that way. So they don't go put things on their credit card knowing that they don't have the amount of money to cover it at the end of the month. That's not what they do. They don't go spend money and hope and pray that some kind of way, I get it. No, they spend their money wisely. They save their money. They invest. So you have to already operate from that space, from that mindset, in order to get to that next level. You have to understand that, achieving the goal, that's great, but the journey is what matters. You're prepping yourself to get in that space so that when you're there, you don't have to worry about losing it because you're already prepped. You're already strong enough to handle it. You're already in that space of, I know how to operate because I've been doing this. This is not something new and that you have to be so stressed out about because you've been doing this all along. Operating from this space also helps you to see the things that you need to work on to get better. It helps you to take out the weak links and the kinks that you need to improve on before you get to that place. You don't want to get to that place and then find out you have, I don't want to become an entrepreneur and find out that I have a problem with managing money. No, that's not a good place to be in at that point. You want to figure that out now and then work on those things so that when you get to that place where you want to be, you don't have to worry about those things. The last thing that I have on here as a way of getting to that next level is you need to make sure you align yourself to hear God and to be led by His direction. I cannot emphasize enough how important this is. You have to realize that God has placed that dream and that desire inside of you, those goals that you have, even if it's to be debt free. You have no idea a lot of people say they want to inspire people, but you inspire people by doing. They can look at you and what you've accomplished, and you're inspiring them and showing them that it's possible. So no goal is too small. There aren't desires that you have that it's like, oh, this doesn't matter. Nobody cares about this. Every single thing that you do, you are showing someone else what's possible. So each of those goals and desires that you have, no matter what it is, has been placed in your heart by God. And so the scripture that came to me was Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. So you have an advantage. The things that God has placed in your heart, He's already prepared in advance for you to do them. He's already mapped it out. But what you have to make sure is that you are in alignment so that you can hear from Him, so that you can know what steps to take, so that He can show you what to do. You have a huge advantage. And that's why you have to remember, you can't look at what everybody else is doing and how they got to where they're going, because your journey is designed by God. And if you're trying to duplicate what somebody else has done, the Bible says that God orders our footsteps. And if he's doing that, he's trying to do that, but you're trying to follow the steps of somebody else, you're going to miss out. There are so many people who miss out and see their dreams die because they've lost the ability to hear God and to follow his direction. And you don't want that to happen to you. And if you're not comfortable with the whole concept of, God talking to you, or you feel like you pray and you don't hear anything from God, hearing from God is something that I've invested a lot of time in learning. Right now, I'm reading a book by Joyce Meyer about how to hear from God, I think is the name of it. But it's very, very good. Hearing from God, you have to meditate. It comes with a lot of meditation and a lot of praying and a lot of listening. I think even the sermon Sunday from my pastor, Pastor Miles, he was talking about a lot of us get on our knees. What we do so-called praying is we get on our knees, we complain, we ask, we cry, and then we just get up and say amen. You don't take time to listen. God may be wanting to talk to you, but you don't even give him a chance to talk because you're like, okay, this is what I need, and I'm up and off my knees. Talking to God, having a relationship with him is spending time with him and listening. You have to listen. And a lot of the ways that God talks to us is through his word. And so if you're not taking time to read or, read God's scripture or to learn about his character, you won't know when he's talking to you. I can be in a store with millions of people. Kadeem, my fiance, may call my name and say, hey, he can even just say, hey. I'm going to automatically know that it's him because I know him. I know his voice. I've spent time with him. I know his character, and I can recognize his voice. It's the same way when we're dealing with God. You have to spend time with him. You have to meditate. You have to stay still, be silent, and listen. You have to fast. You have to pray. And so all of those things are important, even with our goals, because he's going to give us step-by-step directions, and we need to be able to be aligned and to be able to get those directions in order to go to that next level. You have to know that, going to this level, requires you to do some new things, to change things up. Things are not going to be how they were before. You're not going to be able to do the same things in order to get to this next level, and you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. The journey won't be easy, but it'll be worth it. It's going to help you, prepare you for the place you're going to be in. And so in order to do those things, you have to become extremely focused. You have to identify those distractions and cut them out. You have to make sure that you're believing in your dreams and those results without conditions. You have to operate from that place of where you're trying to go instead of where you are right now. And then you have to make sure you're aligned so that you can hear directions from God in order to get you to that next level. So I hope that this didn't sound too preachy. I kind of felt like I was in a flow for a minute and I just was going and going. But I hope that you're understanding that, this next level, this is the season right now for you to plant. In order to get to that next level, it's going to require some things from you. It's not going to just happen, but you have to consciously be in it and be dedicated and be ready to do what you need to do in order to achieve your goals. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed and got something out of this episode. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any moment, anytime, through my email or on social media. I'll be there to answer your questions. All right, you guys, I love you. Take care, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.